Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to wake up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi and Corey Clark.
Welcome on in, everybody. I'm Aslan Hajavandi. He is Corey Clark. This is Wake Up War Chant on Monday. Thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it. Good times to be had this past weekend. Hope you had a good one, and hope the Monday goes by nice and easy for you. The show brought to you by For the Table Hospitality, and there were 3 awesome locations over in the College Town District, Central Township, and Madison Social. Corey, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. It's good to be back. Sorry I was gone for so long, so many days last week. For people that don't know, I had a buddy that passed away at the age of 42, which is still pretty stunning. So we, had to arrange the service and go to the service, and
got to apologize to us, buddy.
And then, the Thursday night was the actual service, and it wasn't really a service; it was a visitation, and then it was a celebration of his life at a local brewery that lasted well into Friday, and Daddy was not feeling great on Friday, but I made it, and I'm back in town, back in Tallahassee.
At least you didn't have to wake up to go to a practice at 8 o'clock in the morning.
That's true. I did that on Saturday.
Oh, that's right.
That was got to do that on Saturday. Willie, come on, man. We get it. You like the morning stuff, but it's starting to get old.
It's hurting my soul right now. I really don't know what to do with myself. It's just...
But it's spring practice.
Awesome. No, it's awesome. It's fantastic. We had a very brief window on Saturday. They had what we were told was going to be a situational scrimmage on Saturday afternoon or late Saturday morning. Situational in terms of they're just going to, just start yelling out
3rd and 8,
kick, field goal. Let's do a 3rd and 4. Let's do a 4th and 2. Let's do a 2nd and long, 2nd and short, all that kind of stuff. So to my understanding, I guess apparently Seminoles.com posted notes, but I'm boycotting them, so I didn't read the story. I didn't click the link.
It was vague stuff. They didn't give really specifics or any stats, not like Florida did.
Yeah, and somebody asked on the message boards on the Tribal Council, warchant.com, 30-day trial. Head over there right now. About whether or not there'd be stats, and I surmise I don't think there's going to be, just because it's a situational scrimmage. Who keeps stats when you're doing like a 2nd and 5, and then you jump right to a 3rd and 9?
Yeah, I don't even know if they do that actually for a real scrimmage. You hope they would, like in August, they would probably keep stats. You would think, but I mean, I don't know. I think maybe they look at the film and grade it out, not necessarily. Oh, that was a 14-yard pass. That was an 11-yard pass. I just think they grade it out if it was the right decision or not.
So I've dubbed the Coracle.
Right. I feel like I dubbed myself. You dubbed me the Oracle.
Right, okay.
Put a little panache on it.
You, the self-proclaimed
Oracle. Right.
We're able to digest about 15 minutes of practice before we were shooed out of the way, and then they got to the nitty-gritty of things. Was there anything that stood out in your mind of kind of what you saw Saturday after being away from the team for a few sessions?
Yeah, I wrote about it on warchant.com, said warchant.com. Francois, to me, was moving like normal. I mean, it wasn't just that he was moving back and forth. He was shuffling his feet. He was throwing off his back foot. Everything looked good with his feet, which is all you really care about at this point. He looked, to me, and I know he's not, and he still got the brace on, but he looked full speed. Like he was doing everything that the other two were doing. I don't think he took part in the actual scrimmage, but during the drills that we saw, they take, I guess to try to paint a picture, which, I get paid to do, I'm wonderful at it. He would, take a snap, maybe drop back 3 steps, do the quick shuffle and throw, and do it to the left side, to the right side, and maybe fake a handoff and roll a bit and do it. And it looked, to me, man, he looked exactly like he did 2 years ago. As far as you couldn't tell, there was no limp, it was no like hesitancy at all. Just he backed up and threw it and looked good.
Did he look any better than what you saw those first 2 practices when they were open?
It looked to me like he was, those first 2 practices, it looked like he was favoring everything, and he was going slow. He wasn't going at the speed that the other guys were. But on Saturday, man, he looked like he was just taking snaps, dropping back, trusting it, and going. And again, I don't know if he's going to start, but that's good for Florida State to have him in the mix. I don't think he'll play in the spring game. Still, he's getting a lot of real reps in practice, which is good for Florida State.
I think what he actually said himself when he was interviewed on the first day of practice, let me actually get the microphone over towards my speaker box. I think he actually mentioned that he was going to be able to go through most things. It's just I think he said something along the lines of anything that's going to be unpredictable, he would not participate in. He's got the confidence that if he needs to take, like you said, 3 steps and shuffle his feet, he can make a throw. But if somebody were to pressure him and he would have to pivot, right? I think like that sort of stuff.
Or scoot up real quick in the pocket to avoid something.
Yeah, that would probably put too much stress on. I don't know, even so much structure is near maybe his mind more so than anything. So yeah, these sort of things where he's not in threat of having to do anything too, sudden, too much of a herky jerky kind of motion. He seems to be doing just fine at. So
and Ronnie Harrison hasn't been at practice either for the last couple weeks. Yeah, so that's good for Florida State.
Yeah, congrats, Ronnie. You're from Tallahassee. Welcome. Yeah. Welcome.
Hey, way to wreck the season, Ronnie.
What'll be welcome back to your hometown.
Yeah, man. Just because they didn't recruit you got to go wreck the season, man.
Go collect your NFL paychecks.
It's the greatest opener of all time. You had to go ruin it.
So another cool thing, I guess, actually happened on Saturday. I think did it happen Saturday? No, it happened Friday. Was that Peter Warrick's jersey or his jersey's going to be retired? We no longer retire.
Yeah, they don't retire the numbers. I think there's just 4 numbers that are retired.
Yeah,
but I think I guess the distinction, people, if you're listening. So like number 9, there will be a 9 hanging up in Doak Campbell Stadium. His jersey is retired, but they can't retire every jersey. They can't just retire the number because they'd run out of numbers. So the 9 will still be worn by
Jaquez Patrick.
Who wears 9? Patrick. Well, nobody right now because he hasn't earned it.
He's not a dude enough. He's not dude enough yet.
But so yeah, Patrick will still wear the number this year. Then somebody else will wear it after him. But the 9 will always be up there. Just like is Warrick done? Is he up there?
I would hope so.
I don't think his jerseys. I don't think his numbers retired. Just his jersey.
The numbers I think that are retired is 34.
Yeah, you got Biletnikoff, Sellers,
Simmons,
and Dion.
Yeah.
2? 17? Is 17 up there too? I think 2's retired.
I should go over to warchant.com right now, and I think our own Irish O'Fell actually clarified that. Well, here's my thing. Why not just make that like a really, really huge, tough honor and then retire the number, and then everyone else just gets the number jersey. Make a ring of honor. 2 ring of honor.
You have nobody could wear 16 because the Heisman winner won that. Nobody could wear. I just forgot Jameson's number. What was he, 5?
5. He's 5 here, yeah.
So nobody can wear 9, 28, 2. Derek Brooks is 10. I mean, literally, you're starting to run out of numbers.
Yeah, they're all pretty awesome, I guess, right?
And that's the thing of Florida State. I mean, at UTEP, you could do it. Because how many good players have been at UTEP? But Florida State, you're talking about Marvin Jones. Nobody can wear 55 again. 27. I mean, there's a ton of them. It really is remarkable.
Yeah, all right. I failed in finding the number thing. I mean, there's 4 of the numbers. So.
I know Charlie's retired because they went through the whole Jalen Ramsey thing of being able to wear
right.
it.
That's what it was. It was at 17. It is. You're right. Because that was the whole thing that Ira referenced.
But I think Ron Simmons is in there too. I think Dion is in there.
I think it's just no. I don't think.
You think it's Biletnikoff and
I think Dion
Sellers?
Might be kind of.
Well, either way. Yeah. So Peter Warrick's 9 won't be retired. Well, his 9 will be retired, but the number 9 will still be in circulation, which is well deserved because he was incredible.
And then more so, obviously, is the fact that Odell Hagen's the only undefeated coach in Florida State football history, or any sort of, I think, major Division I sport at this university, the undefeated coach. He's going to the Florida State Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I'd say the Peter Warrick thing's a little bigger because there's how many people are in the Florida State Hall of Fame? 800, 1,000. But there's only like 6 numbers or 8 numbers up on the scoreboard. But yeah, that's an awesome honor for Odell. Well deserved. It's kind of surprising it hasn't happened till now because he was an All-American here for 2 years. I mean, he played for 4. He was really good for a couple of those years, and he started the dynasty, and he's been an assistant for 20 years. It's kind of odd it took till now. It's also kind of odd that I always assumed that maybe it was last year in a game. I looked up at the stadium. I'm like, man, they don't have 9 up there. Like Peter Warrick was incredible, folks. He would have won the Heisman if not for Dillard's. He did win a national championship. He was the best player in the country in 98 and 99 and was like the 4th overall pick. I mean, he had as good a career as any offensive player in Florida State history.
You know how incredible he was? That some dude who grew up in Akron, Ohio, went to the Twitter machine yesterday and was straight up retweeted Florida State football, talking about the honor of retiring the jersey of Peter Warrick, and said...
And you're not talking about Jeff Bowden. He's in Akron right now, I think, right?
Yeah. As the perimeter pass coordinator. Pass coordinator. Not the actual whole entire passing.
He's the perimeter passing.
I think it's actually inside receivers because whoever throws to the slot guys are worthless.
But how about that LeBron, Aslan of course was talking about LeBron James. LeBron James tweeted out
LeBron James, the reason I wore number 9 at wideout in high school. Congrats, Peter Warrick.
I mean, that's pretty awesome. I mean, Peter Warrick was. It's hard. I mean, I always assume that people that listen to this show are our age, or maybe a little older, that obviously know about Peter Warrick. But there are plenty that don't, that think that like Rashad Green is the best receiver in Florida State history. Look, and Rashad Green was terrific and made some huge plays in the national championship game. Peter Warrick was, I don't know if I've seen anything like him before or since. The Tavon Austin kid that played at West Virginia, and I think is with the Rams now, is about the closest thing I've seen to Peter Warrick. But he made guys look, I mean, it was like an and one mixtape when he caught the ball. He made guys fall down all the time. He was just an exceptional football player. And probably the most fun player to watch at Florida State. Just every day, every game, you're wondering what he was going to do to make someone else look silly.
He was really good at football. Let's wax poetic on the good old days and maybe look ahead to the future as well. It's Wake Up War Chant. I'm Aslan Corey. We'll be right back after this.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
What's up, everybody? That's the greatest rock band in American history. I'm Aslan Hajavandi, Director of Digital Media for WarChant.com, alongside Senior Writer and Time Person of the Year in 2006, Corey S. Clark. This is Wake Up War Chant, brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. 3 awesome locations over in College Town, Central, Madison, Social, and Township. Check them out. Corey, how are you?
Good, man. People forget 2006. Now, admittedly, it was a down year for men and people, but still a time to do that, to honor me with that, was... still something I haven't quite gotten over.
Yeah. Look it up.
Yeah, prove me wrong, kids. Prove me wrong.
2006, Time Person of the Year. We're talking about, obviously, Peter Warrick, maybe to some certain degree, Odell Hagens. There's a situation I want to wade in the water on that I actually did with Ira. And thankfully, since we tape this show a lot of the times, we got to kind of do a trial balloon on the thing, and it was a horrible train wreck of a segment. So
I can't wait. I didn't hear it.
We did like a full 9-minute segment on this thing, and I'm just, after we got done with it, I'm like, that was terrible, wasn't it? He's like, yeah.
All right.
So we
did it make? Oh, you re-recorded it?
Oh, yeah, we did not put it to air.
Good. Well, let's try it with me and see if I can salvage it.
But I had this like really deep sort of thought on Peter Warrick, that, not deep thought, but as I continue my quasi-boycott of Seminoles.com, Aslan against the world, pick your side, everybody. If LeBron James does not unfurl a Peter Warrick jersey today on Twitter, I'm going to be very disappointed. I feel like this is not a huge opportunity, but like, let's find out what we're made of here in the marketing department of Florida State. Like, they're doing a really good job of controlling the messaging and trying to do some cool things with the way they put information.
For sure.
Like, how about we send out, and don't give him the new one, okay? Give him the actual legitimate Peter Warrick,
the
old
99, 98 circa
give
Peter
him that
Warrick
one.
jersey.
And if you want to give him a new one, if you want to Ignition Tradition, give him a new one, but put his name on the back. You can put James on the back of it. But like, these are the little opportunities that, I've been around other programs and I feel like they would totally just blow it out, and they would go like full hardcore. Their social media accounts would start tweeting all these things out, and hey, when can we get you guys together? Or like, get Peter Warrick to record a message on his phone and post, and like, these are things you do. I know it's Easter Sunday, so people are off the clock, and hope everybody had a good Easter. Did you go to any Easter egg hunts? Is that too old? Brady doesn't mess around with that stuff?
Well, he's 9, so planted a few in the backyard, but didn't make them hard. I basically just opened the door, threw them out in the yard, and then waited 10 minutes and said, Brady, go see if you can find those eggs. So they weren't hidden real well. So
you're not going to be Time Person of the Year? Like
No, I'm certainly not Dad of the Year.
18's not going to be your
I'm not going to win that.
Yeah, so, I mean, when I saw that, I'm like, God, just capitalize on this somehow. I mean, that's
here's
remarkable.
the deal. So I agree with you. I would not fault them in this instance because, number one, I do think there are people over there that when they figure out when the retirement ceremony will be, they're going to reach out to LeBron James and say, hey, could you make it to Doak Campbell Stadium in September 20th? Because right now he's in the middle of a season, and he's going to have all the playoffs. So can you make it? Peter Warrick, in fact, tweeted at LeBron James.
Oh, did he?
And said, thank you. Hey, anytime you want to come to a game. I think he tweeted a couple of times at him, in fact. And that would be incredible. I don't foresee it happening, but you can always extend the invitation, or he can record something on his phone and send it to you. Just something cool, Because I don't think, again, people don't realize the impact, how famous Peter Warrick was around the country for being just such a badass. Pardon my language, people. I know you might have kids in the car. I hate this early.
Peter Warrick tweeted out much love with a pound, with a fist, like a fist bump.
And I thought he tweeted out something about, I'm going to get you a jersey, or I thought there was other stuff that he.
That's what he replied to directly. But continue on your.
But he did have a huge impact on people all across the country. Peter Warrick did. I'm telling you, guys, he was can't miss football. You couldn't miss Florida State playing, even though they might win the game by 40 points, because Peter Warrick was so electrifying. And he did it in big-time moments against great defenses. He did it in huge games. He did it in the national championship game. He was a superstar. And so the fact that LeBron James was, I don't know what he would have been then, 15, 14 years old, wearing a Peter Warrick jersey in Akron, Ohio, man, that says about the reach of that guy. Because this was before, really, the internet was what it is now. It was before Twitter, obviously. It was before every game was on TV. And still LeBron James knew all about Peter Warrick. That says a lot about not only the brand of Florida State, but Peter Warrick, man, he was just sensational. He does stuff it's hard to describe. Just go on YouTube and look up Peter Warrick. You can't describe some of that stuff.
Peter Warrick, Louisiana Tech, and that's all you really need to know.
Yeah, they're running through the defense twice.
Well,
so I think they will reach out to see if there's anything there. I don't, I wouldn't foresee that LeBron James. They might even just show the tweet during the ceremony on your huge video board.
Yeah.
Because you do need to mention. I mean, it's the most famous athlete in the world right now. Mentioning you're a receiver. I mean, that's really neat. It's really neat that he retweeted the football account.
Yeah, well, we shall see. I don't know. They might be busy making sure that people aren't looking through windows to look at practice and things. But back to Peter. I don't know how much of the fact of everyone gets bigger, faster, stronger, right? Steve Kerr joked about how everybody would always ask him about could the Warriors beat the Bulls.
Right.
And Steve Kerr would be like, oh, they would get killed. They would get annihilated.
Who would? His Bulls team.
No. His Warriors team would get destroyed. He would joke about it because Michael's the best ever. Scotty was awesome. Right. He's like, everything in life gets better and evolves except for sports. Like, everyone tells you that no. Back in the day, those guys, Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle, not lifting weights, weighing 170 pounds, those guys can hit it farther and better than Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge and things like that.
By the way, real quick, so Mickey Mantle still holds the all-time record for longest home run in history. So I think they measured it at 565 feet.
Right, yeah.
You're telling me, and I know I know all about Mickey Mantle, I promise. He's from Oklahoma. He was an incredible athlete. I read his biography. I know all of his stats. You're telling me a 5'11" guy that weighed probably 205 pounds, and trust me, was ripped. I mean, he was really strong, but 5'11" before steroids. Mm-hmm. Nobody's hit the ball further in the last 60 years than some 5'11" kid from Oklahoma. They hit one out of a stadium once, and they said, "Oh, well, how'd you find out where it landed?" "Oh, I see it cracked the window or something." That's 565 feet from home plate. You see Stanton hit these balls. And you're telling me there's a person that's lived before him that was 50 pounds lighter and 8 inches shorter? It was hitting him 40 feet further? I mean, I think Stanton's longest home run is like 518 feet. Yeah. Meanwhile, my man, 60 years ago, before roids, before all this conditioning, just smoking heaters before the game, and then he bombs 565.
Well, this was before GMO and genetically modified foods, so maybe the foods that he was eating were more pure and more nutritional value that allowed him to
didn't even think about
launch the ball.
Yeah, good point.
But to that sort of argument that we always hearken back to, no one's ever going to be as good as they used to be. Has there been a moment in college football that it's changed physically? The way the game is played, the way these guys are built, because you talk about we're never going to see another Peter Warrick, and I agree. And I don't know how much of it is the fact that we won't see anybody with his freaky athleticism, or is it the fact that defenses now are just that much bigger, freaky, faster, that they're never going to allow a guy to make them look as silly as Peter Warrick once did.
Well, it's weird. When you do watch those highlights, you see that, so he'll catch the ball in space on just like a little out. He'll make one guy miss and he falls down. He'll go 2 more feet, completely stop. And another guy falls behind him, which is cool. It's awesome. But I would think in this day and age, we're now about 2 decades past that now, that once you stop on a dime to make the other guy look silly and fall down, the rest of the defense is caught up to you by now.
Right.
Back then, there was still nobody else in the picture. He would literally, there's a play against USC back when they used to play USC. He made 3 guys in a row fall down by coming to complete stops and backing up, and then still kept going. Like, now if you did that to a USC team, you would think all those 4'6", 4'7" guys that are on the field now would come up from behind and get him. And I think maybe to a certain extent that might have happened in the NFL. He actually had a better career than you would remember in the NFL. Injuries beset him, and he didn't play with very good quarterbacks, and he wasn't on a very good team. But maybe that's the difference, is there's more speed and size all the way around, all in football. It's shrunken the field a little bit. But still, he would be awesome in this day and age. He'd still be the best player on Florida State's roster right now.
Oh, yeah.
I think 18 years later. I don't know if he'd make, instead of 6 highlight plays a game, he would make 4. But
it's just a cool thing for him because guys like you and I realize or remember what he looked like, so that when people say stuff like, oh man, DJ Matthews is going to be the truth, and then DJ Matthews has a good season with 40 catches for 625 yards, that we're like, yeah, man, but like, he's not Peter Warrick, because like
right.
Peter Warrick, just was something else. But I don't know how much of it's the fact that, DJ Matthews is going to be going up against defenses that have linebackers that are 235 pounds that are running 4.5s, whereas, back in 99, 98, because I don't know. I mean, it's like, again, has there been a point? Because I feel like, football, you go back and you look at the Peter Warrick highlight tapes. It looks a little bit different. I'm not saying it's watching like an old, Betamax tape or anything like that, but it just, the structure of the way these guys are built and the schemes that coaches run these days, it seems a little bit different.
Yeah, it is. And when you watch an old like college game from 1998, it's different than what you're watching now. Decidedly different. It's still not as different as like when you were in 1998 and you watched a game from 78 or 80. I mean, the game hasn't changed that much in the last 20 years. I think it's similar athletes now than it was back then, as opposed to like from 1998 to 1980. The game did a complete 180. I mean, it's a whole. I mean, you had centers that were 235 pounds. I remember the Georgia national championship team from 1980. Their offensive line, I don't know if anybody was over 250.
Yeah,
Herschel was the freak at 220. He was bigger than. He might have been as big as their center. I mean, obviously, so that the game changed so much from 1975 to 1995. I think that change has slowed down the progression, but it's still significantly different, if that makes sense.
The future is going to be different for Florida State football defensively, I feel, because of 2 reasons. I'll discuss them next alongside Corey right here on Wake Up War Chant, ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee.
The excitement of the Willie Taggart era at Florida State is in full force. That's why now's the perfect time to sign up at warchant.com. Warchant.com will have wall-to-wall coverage of spring football practice, including the latest on position battles, coach and player interviews, video features, and in-depth analysis. Warchant.com's 3-team writers, Gene Williams, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark, have 50 years of experience covering the Seminoles. And warchant.com is the only FSU media outlet with a dedicated full-time recruiting analyst in Tallahassee with the latest on the 2019 class. For your 30-day free trial subscription, head to warchant.com and use promo code WARCHANT30.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a nice, manageable Monday. I'm Aslan. He's Corey Clark. This is Wake Up War Chant on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee, brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. 3 awesome locations over in Madison Social, Township, and Central. And I'm getting ever closer to being to honestly look at you in the face, everybody, and tell you that they're awesome locations, because I went to Township on Saturday after Florida State's finale against Louisville.
Oh, did you?
I like Township more than Madison Social, actually. I think Township's a little more vibrant. It was a beautiful day Saturday, man.
It was great.
It was beautiful. Like,
glorious.
They got all those, and it's the same sort of setup as Madison Social. They have those huge, like, garage door kind of things where, they can let all the light and all the fresh air come in. But I don't know, I think the ceilings are a little bit higher and everything. I remember looking around there, and I was with a friend, and I'm like, this feels like we're in, like, Atlanta or, like, Nashville. And these kids, talked about Thyra, these kids don't even know how good they have it these days, where, like, if you live in Indian Village, where I lived going to school, I mean, we were close to the stadium, but all we had was like the Palace. Like, you can walk to these great places. Sweet Palace.
Did you get some food?
I did. They had some ceviche tacos.
Okay.
Really good.
All right.
Really good.
Okay.
It was actually really good. And then, but they got Ultra, but I wanted a Corona. They didn't have a Corona. They're like this they're like a German beer hall, but with an American twist.
Got it.
like beer pretzels, big beer steins, they got a lot of craft beer. They're not about the macro, they're all about the micro.
See, that was my problem on Thursday night at my buddy's memorial service, is that it was at a brewery. It's a craft brewery.
Oh, yeah.
So
Daddy
couldn't get Mick Ultra, so I had to get something called the Blonde Cotillion.
Oh, this is just like, if you like
it was
beer.
lighter than it looked like the coffee that everybody else was drinking. It was lighter than that black coffee looking beer, but it still was, it was different. Drinking 4 or 5 of those is different than drinking 4 or 5 Mick Ultras.
You guys want to talk about football? I'm going to talk about football because I just teased about football, but let's get to baseball real quick before we get back to football. We'll also have Michael Langston join us here in the final segment of the program to sum up Florida State's recruiting efforts over the weekend. I think it was a pretty successful one, judging by the stories I saw over on warchant.com. All right, so the Noles get 2 out of 3 from Louisville, so I think this is now, 3 or 4 series victories in a row for them in terms of ACC. I know they lost the first
3.
one against Wake.
Yeah, so Notre Dame, North Carolina, and then Louisville.
So 3 in a row for them.
Yeah.
Friday's game was a sensational one, which, of course, I was not in attendance for. Walk-off home run, right? That was the walk-off.
Yeah.
Foster went yard, 2-run dinger in the bottom of the 9th, walk it off.
Yeah, that's a huge. I mean, look, man, that guy. I don't think he had like 8 or 9 at bats all year. I literally texted Ira after I saw that on Twitter because I was driving back that night with Brady. I'm like, who the blank is Jonathan Foster? I never heard of him.
He apparently went to Auburn.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
So I saw that Jonathan Foster hits walk-off. I'm like, that can't be. Louisville's not at home. Whoever Jonathan Foster is for Louisville, right. It could have been a walk-off. They still got to play the 9th inning. And then, so that was, and also because they knew Louisville essentially had their ace pitch the last game of the series. That's their guy.
Okay.
He's been hurt. He pitched the first weekend of the season that had soreness and had only pitched like 1 or 2 innings until that outing on Saturday. But he was a freshman All-American last year. He's going to be a big-time draft prospect next year. But literally was a freshman All-American in every magazine, every publication. He's good. So if you don't win that game, if you blow that game, and then you have to face their ace, well, then obviously you're staring down a series loss. So getting that win, that come from behind win from such an unlikely source, those are really neat moments, man. Those are really, I don't know if you saw the replay, but Mike Martin Jr., I've never seen him act like that after, maybe one other time I've seen him act like that after a home run. I think he was excited because he knew it was a big win, but also the kid that hit it. Like just because he's not somebody that ever pinch hits in that spot, but they had to because the kid that they had been in that spot was 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Like, we're not doing it with Kavanaugh anymore. Yeah. Get somebody else in there. Let's just see if Foster can put and it's a home run to win the game. That's awesome.
I want to say I think Cal's had 1 day off so far this year, or maybe he got like an early hook in one of those. And this guy, Jonathan Foster, actually came in and gave him relief. So
yeah, I think Cal DH'd one game.
Yeah. So that's the good, obviously. They get a series win. Offense comes alive, late innings with an unsung sort of hero. I don't know if we're starting, and I talked about this with Ira, I don't know how much of, obviously, trying to be the homers really undersold just how tough it's going to be to keep this thing running without Tyler Holton.
It's kind of becoming obvious, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of using duct tape to get together through these series, and it's, again, they've won 3 in a row over a couple nice clubs. I mean, they're not terrible, but, yeah, man, it's just, Austin Pollock was really good at the start of the season, but it's different when it's the ACC, man. These guys, number one, they have film on you. They know your tendencies, and they're better than what you face. And you've got to make adjustments to their adjustments, and he hadn't done it yet. He couldn't, Saturday, that last game, he wasn't in it at all from the beginning. Yeah. He, walked the leadoff guy, walked 2 of the first 3 batters he faced. You just can't do that against these kind of teams. You're going to lose. And he did. The good news, though, is that the C.J. Van Eyck, I feel like 11 said Ike.
Right? Yeah, he did say Ike. I think we can call him Eck.
We'll go Ike. We could call, I like Eck because of Eckersley. It's cool. It's a cool baseball name to have. But, man, that guy was really impressive. He threw 71 pitches in 6 innings, gave up 1 run. I think what they're going to end up doing is I think we're not going to see our man Pollock in the weekend rotation anymore. It's either going to be Carp or it's going to be Van Eyck. Mm-hmm. I think they'll probably go with Carp just because they trust him more to make starts.
Which they should, I think.
Sure.
He's
but maybe
really
let
well.
Van Eyck pitch against Florida on Tuesday, whenever that Tuesday game is coming up in 9 days or so, and then go from there. And maybe Van Eyck is your guy for a couple innings and two games that weekend, or he is a guy that maybe you think to pitch Sunday. I don't know. Also, Cole Sands needs to be better.
He does.
I don't know what's. If you took the first inning away, he'd have an ERA of like 180, but he just gets shelled in the first inning every game.
I was talking about this Ira last week. It's like Glavine back in the 90s. Like,
remember that?
Yeah.
If you get out of the first inning with just allowing 2 runs,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, we're going to win this game 5-2. But sometimes you give up 4 or 5. It was just crazy how sometimes that works with these pitchers. I think he's given up like 11 or 12 runs in the last 3 first innings combined. That's you're always pitching out of a hole on a Friday night can be really tough to do too.
And the problem too is that Drew Parrish really didn't look all that stellar on Friday night either. So I mean,
but I think he's been the best pitcher.
He has been.
He just couldn't find the strike zone. You just gotta. I think that's abnormal though. I think he had 6 walks in that game. That's just that you just chalk that up to one bad night. I think that's the guy that you count on to be your guy. I will say this. I think Carp probably works himself back into the rotation, and then we'll see what Van Eyck can do. One great outing isn't enough to maybe bump him into the weekend rotation, but he needs to get more innings.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think ultimately you put Drew at 2 and then maybe Cole. Again, I think maybe Cole just feel comfortable going on Saturdays and he can sit back and watch, Drew go through the lineup, on a Friday night and get a better feel and scout these guys better so that when he pitches on Saturday, he'll be better off. So it's worth a shot. Now, a shot in the arm for Florida State. I think obviously we got off on the wrong foot, you and I at home, because you determined that I had some sort of weird obsession with Jimbo Fisher, which I do, so you're not wrong.
Yeah, it's not weird.
But a large part of the optimism I held that if he were to stick around, which I now realize is unfounded because this thing was an absolute 3-alarm dumpster fire, was that we had some sort of information out there that Charles Kelly was most likely not going to be retained. Or if he was, it wasn't going to be in the capacity of being a defensive coordinator. Because at that point, if you let him go, you're still on the hook for his salary.
Right.
Why not keep him around and make him, fill out some paperwork or something? So I was like, well, if he gets out of here and the offense gets back to, what it can be, we'll be all right. Well, we got to start talking to some defensive guys this past week, and we talked to them on Friday.
Who'd you talk to?
Cyrus Fagan, Hamza,
Okay.
And
Hamza
Nasruddin.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to make a lot of people out there uncomfortable.
Well, I don't know how to spell it. Hamza is the best I can do.
Yeah.
Is it it's not a palindrome, right? It's not spelled the same forwards and backwards?
Correct, it's not.
You know what it is? Taco cat.
You know what it is? Race car.
Yeah.
You know what also is? Go hang a salami. I'm a lasagna hog.
Well, that's okay. That's a good one.
You can use that one if you like. But back to defense. So there's 2 things that I heard that, made me feel pretty optimistic about. Or maybe there's only one thing. Maybe I'm overselling it by 2. But it was crazy covering Mississippi State football. They usually had a pretty good defense. Not even relatively speaking. They had usually a pretty good defense. And I remember their whole thing was, and Dan Mullen would constantly harp on that, was that it's all about tenacity, the relentless pursuit of the ball carrier with 11 guys on the field. Like, it was relentless pursuit of the ball carrier, all 11 guys flying to the ball. 11 guys fly to the ball. So I was asking Cyrus Fagan, like, have you heard anything from the coaches? Because, listen, these guys have to sell the vision, right? These coaches just can't come in and be like, listen, I'm your coach now. This is what we're going to do, and you're going to like it. You need to kind of put out some crumbs there and be like, this is what we're going to do. This is why I think it's going to be successful for you, and all of us. We can make this work. And I'm like, Cyrus, did he ever tell you guys anything within the first, few days that you guys all kind of looked around and said, this makes sense in terms of what we're going to start doing now? And he just kind of takes this long pause, and he's like, yeah, we're all going to run to the ball. And I'm like, wow, that's
novel.
That's awesome, because the whole loafing thing was a weird thing, obviously, because you got guys, quote, not trying in the middle of a football game that matters. But I think so much of what Charles Kelly did, and I mean, listen, Jeremy Pruitt does it as well, but maybe he just has a better elixir. These guys don't have to run across the field. Everyone's mad at Josh Sweat for not running, or Matthew Thomas not running.
Right.
I really think all this whole set the edge thing is like, listen, dude, like, you can maybe get your paw out and tackle this guy, but I don't want you to. Just hold the tackle, just hold the point of attack so they can't push it to the outside, and then contain everything inside. We'll come up and sweep up and make the tackles. Everything will work out fine. That's how it's going to work. Well, like, obviously that wasn't working out that well. And then when you got guys that are on the other side of the field not running to the ball, it just looks like a bad sort of thing. And I don't know, maybe over pursuits also can maybe burn them, and maybe teams will start doing throwbacks, and that'll quickly change. But that, to me, that's a huge sort of development, because the defense had some good moments. I mean, they made Florida look pretty silly, and, they kind of responded to the challenge of after what Lamar Jackson did to them last year. But that defense was still nowhere near the caliber of 2012 or 13.
No, not even remotely close to it. And that was the problem. They actually had decent numbers. But it wasn't, at the end of the year, they actually had decent numbers, the 2017 Florida State defense. But it still didn't hearken you back to what we're used to out of really good Florida State defenses. They don't just – it just always seemed like there was more contain and not attack. And that maybe that's a cliche, but, man, go look like these great defenses are supposed to look. Go completely suffocate teams. And they never really did that. They would get some punts. They'd force some punts. Maybe they'd cause a fumble. But they didn't wow you. No. Ever. There's nothing scary. That was like a scary defense. Like, oh, man, here comes that defense. The first game against Alabama, I'm like, man, this I did too. This team has a chance to beat. Because not only did they – I mean, I know Hurts can't do much. But I mean, that, you know, Alabama couldn't run on him either. Alabama couldn't do anything. You're like, man, this is going to be terrific. And then it slowly just kind of devolved back into the kind of slop we'd seen. Now, it wasn't as bad as 16 at times, but it still wasn't anything special that made you really excited. Well, and again, I think, to a certain degree, the complexity of the offense getting pared down and becoming lethally simple is such a huge, perk or huge sort of boon for this team, and has got a lot of people excited. But I think more so the fact that this defense actually really is going to play fast, physical, and aggressive, where everybody, I mean, it's just, you have your assignments, obviously, but man, when the guy's got the ball, run your rear end as fast as you can and try to get there. That, to me, that bleeds over into so many other things that this team is going to try to obviously do. And teams have to start feeding off each other, because when you have this really complex offense that's plodding and not getting stuff done, I mean, the defense is looking at that like, man, like we got to go out here and make another stop. And the defense goes out there and is doing all this, passive, reactive defense. I mean, the offense is looking at, there's no spark anywhere. There's no spark. Right. There's nothing to be excited about either. And you had Derwin James. I mean, I think, I feel like in 10 years we're going to look at the fact that Florida State had Derwin James and Jalen Ramsey in the same backfield together and think, holy moly, how did they not just destroy teams? Yeah. And they didn't. I mean, 2015, they were good defensively with those guys. But, again, it wasn't anything that set your hair on fire for those that are lucky enough to have hair. Yeah, didn't set it on fire. Yeah, really, right? But, yeah, man, we'll see. Again, they haven't played a game yet, so we'll see how it goes. But I just feel like Florida State fans, again, I've always talked about how they grew up offensively on trick plays and fun and having good times. Those Mickey Andrews defenses, man, were not a joke. And they did not react. If they did anything, they overreacted. I mean, they just made you react to them because they just flew at you. Echo of the whistle, right? Exactly right. They were mean. I feel like at times they wanted to get personal fouls just to put that in your head. I mean, they were mean, they were vicious, and they attacked. And it was fun to watch. That'll be fun to watch. Yeah, and also some names you might need to know in the future to watch. We'll bring on WarChant.com recruiting analyst and insider Michael Langston to wrap up the program here on this Monday. It's Wake Up War Chant, ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
What's up, everybody? I'm Aslan, and now we're joined by Michael Langston from WarChant.com, recruiting analyst and insider for the website. Busy weekend for you on your Easter weekend, man. Hope you're doing well, Michael. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm doing great. It's been very busy. It's like every day is a junior day. With Willie Taggart in charge. It's the visits are nonstop, and but keeps you on track, and a lot of stuff going on.
Is that different? Like, did a previous regime only have maybe one or two? I mean, like you said, it seems like every other weekend we're hearing about Junior Day and big names coming to visit Tallahassee.
It's a much different kind of strategy. Jimbo was more get all the kids to the big events. Like, you have 2 Junior Days and you do them back-to-back weekends and you get them all there. And then you have the spring game and you get them all there. And then you try to get some of them to the summer camp. Whereas Taggart is like every day if he's got a chance to get somebody in for a visit, like it didn't matter during the week. It doesn't matter what time of the week it is. I mean, he wants to get them in. He's not messing around. Much more aggressive with this staff, much more detailed into getting things done. And also they're relentless in not letting up, where the old staff would kind of let off of the gas a little bit in the spring. This staff does not let off the gas. Like, they're always recruiting. This is the most kids I can ever remember visiting FSU in the spring nonstop like this.
Michael Langston from WarChant.com joining us, talking about recruiting. The Noles having another
junior day this past weekend. Lots of talent on the campus of Florida State University. I did see a story. I didn't get to click on it and dive into it, but this Dunmore kid, the wide receiver, it's John Dunmore, if I'm not mistaken. That's a guy that you've really kind of circled as being a big target for this staff. What about him is kind of flashing, and what did you hear from him about his visit that makes you feel pretty optimistic about the effort the Noles put forth this past weekend?
Yeah, he's been a guy that they've been on for a while since Taggart took over the job. His dream offer was FSU. He's gotten that. He got that the FSU Junior Day, and he's a South Florida kid, so that's always big. But I think the main thing was getting him to see all the culture that Willie Taggart's done, and I think FSU's in excellent shape for him. I think he's going to decide. He said he's going to announce his commitment at the Under Armour game later this year, and that sounds like a long time away. And I'm not sure he makes it that far, because I think he pretty much knows in his mind that it's going to be FSU, and I think FSU's in excellent position there, and I think that's a guy that you'll probably see in this class.
John Dunmore, 6'3", 179, 4-star, according to Rivals.com, plays over at Chaminade Madonna down there in Hollywood. Kind of cool to see a wide receiver this excited about coming to a program where he might not really know the quarterback that's going to get him the ball. That's obviously a huge need for Willie Taggart and the staff as a quarterback. Sam Howell, he was able to, I guess, touch down here in Tallahassee. What was the sort of vibe you got from him after his visit?
Yeah, he had a very good visit. It was probably around 6-hour visit. He was there for a while and brought his parents with him, which is very important. He's from Monroe, North Carolina. He's a 4-star quarterback, and his first offer was from Walt Bell when Walt Bell was at Maryland, and that was when he was 15 years old, and Walt Bell had offered him. So he has a strong, long-standing connection with Walt Bell. That's helped him a lot. I think what really blew Sam away was the fact that he got a chance to see all the guys that already bought in to what Willie Taggart's doing there. And that really, I think, astonished Sam. It really caught his attention, and he really liked it a lot. And he mentioned to me, like, the offense they run, the FSU runs, is kind of similar to some of the stuff they run, so it won't be a big transition for him. And he felt like he's like, I know I can play here, and I know I can fit in. And I could tell he's pretty excited. He's a good poker player because he talked up other teams. I think Clemson's a major team in there, but I think it's going to come down to Clemson, North Carolina, and FSU. And he says he could decide in the next month or two, but I know FSU felt pretty confident coming out of that visit. And I think he told me some things that were unique about the FSU visit compared to Clemson and Florida that he's also visited. So I think they're a major threat there. I mean, I can't say for sure, like I have with Dunmore, that I think he'll be there, but I think there's a strong chance for FSU.
Is there anybody, maybe a name or two, that you think is now trending in a good direction, is becoming a little bit warmer for Florida State, more so than you might have had on your radar before they were able to get to campus?
Well, I think this spring, Maurice Goolsby, the wide receiver out of Denellen, Florida. He's a 4-star. He was a guy that was committed to Florida. A lot of people just thought he would go right back to Florida, and then he visited FSU for a junior day, and now he's named FSU the leader. So I think they've really jumped up with him. We've already mentioned Dunmore, who they came out of nowhere with. They were before with Dunmore; they weren't even in the picture, and then as soon as Taggart got there, and they got going in the spring, they really took off. I think those two quarterbacks. One we talked about, Sam Howell. The other one is Tayson. I can't even pronounce his last name.
I can't either. You're all right.
I'm just going to call him Tayson P. But I think Tayson's the guy that I feel the most comfortable about. I think FSU sits in a very good spot there. I think that's if you're going to pick one quarterback, I think that's going to be the guy that I think they would get at this point. Now the wild card in all this is on April 4th. FSU is going to get a visit from Jaden Daniels, and I think he's from California. He has all the connections with Willie Taggart. They go way back to 2 years he's been recruiting him. He's from Cali, and he probably is the best fit out of all those guys to run that kind of Gulf Coast offense. He visits on, I think, Wednesday or Thursday, and so it's going to be interesting to see what he says as far as that visit and how he feels about FSU, because I think overall fit, he would be the best guy. But I think those three guys at quarterback are going to be your guys you lock onto and focus on.
Michael Langston has so much knowledge of what's going on with Florida State. Don't forget to hop on over to warchant.com. He's got a full rundown of the junior day going on. He's got other places to be, and we've got less time on the show remaining. So, Mike, we'll have to let you go, man. We really appreciate your time as always. Michael Langston, recruiting analyst and insider for warchant.com. Have a great day, man.
Thanks, man.
Also, nothing to do with Florida State athletics, but if you didn't see this last night, Notre Dame, your national champion in women's basketball, they hit a buzzer beater to beat Mississippi State. So there's that. Congratulations to Notre Dame, ACC. Because listen, folks, if they would have lost, there would have been some graphic from the SEC network tweeted out about SEC wins another national title and blah, blah, blah. And it's crazy how that all works out. Thankfully, we don't have to put up with that anymore. For Corey, I'm Aslan. Again, thanks to Michael Langston. Have a great day, folks. This is Wake Up War Chant. We'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Darn pop-ups and video ads.
Are you wasting your time again on clickbait FSU updates that are bloated down with ads?
Yeah. And after crashing my computer, the information isn't even up to date. You're on warchant.com. What's really going on with the Seminoles?
For the real scoop, you'll need to get your own War Chant subscription.
What's it cost?
Free. There's a 30-day trial offer right now.
You know I like free. Sign me up.
Use the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Nobody has more accurate and timely information on the Noles than warchant.com.
Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole source.